forest never forgets. Hey, night listener. Tonight we enter the shadows, where the fog sticks to your throat like old secrets, and the branches bend just enough to let something watch you walk past. Rain beads on the window like a ticking clock, and the air outside your door tastes like someone else's breath, somewhere out there. Footsteps echo against wet pavement. Not fast, not panicked, just certain. If this story found you, maybe it's because you've been followed too. So, before we vanish into this mystery, like the video and subscribe only if you can handle the truth buried beneath the lies. Comment your location below and tell me this: are you drawn to the truth, the thrill, or the justice? Now lock your doors, take a deep breath, and follow me into the dark. It was supposed to be a walk, not a confession, not a burial, not a crime. Just trees, rain, an overgrown trail no one used anymore. But you knew the shortcut, always have. You know these woods like a second skin, how the dirt shifts after a storm, how the moss grows in spirals where animals nest. You even knew which rocks to avoid if you didn't want to twist an ankle. But you didn't know she would be there, half covered, face turned up, one eye open and the other missing. You freeze, your boots sinking an inch deeper into the mud. You don't scream, you don't even move, you just stare, trying to calculate how long a body takes to forget it was alive. She's young, early 20s, hair like rusted copper, fingers bent at strange angles, a smear of blood across her jaw like a closing parenthesis. And that's when you see it, tucked beneath her palm, a key, small, brass, shiny, clean, too clean. You should have called the police, but your phone is back at the cabin. And even if it wasn't, you wouldn't have. Because here's the thing, you recognize her, not by name, but by eyes. You've seen those eyes before, in the crowd at the town hall meeting, behind the counter at the bookstore, maybe even watching you once from the bus, or maybe somewhere more intimate, somewhere you never admitted going. You kneel carefully, you check her pulse, even though there's no chance. You hope you'll feel something. You don't, but her skin is still warm, not fresh, but not long gone either. That makes this urgent. You do what you've always done when panic sets in. You go clinical. Remove your coat. Use it to cover her face. It's not decency. It's distance. Then you start digging. There's a clearing about 50 yards north, soft dirt, shielded by underbrush, far from the main trail. You carry her. She's lighter than you thought, and heavier than you can explain. The key falls from her hand as you shift her weight. You pocket it, without thinking. A compulsion, a reflex. You dig fast, hands blister. Sweat mixes with rain, and when the hole is deep enough, you lower her in. You don't say anything, not because you don't want to, but because you don't know what you'd say. You cover her, brush the leaves back over the fresh soil, and walk away. Back at the cabin, your hands tremble as you scrub them in the sink. The water runs brown, then pink, then clear. You open a drawer, find a towel. You catch your reflection in the microwave door. Your face looks like a lie waiting to be believed. Later that night, you try to sleep, but the silence feels like it's staring at you. The woods are still, but something's humming, a low vibration in your chest, like the story doesn't want to stay buried, like you're already being watched. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the forest. The forest never forgets. Dirt under the fingernails. You wake before dawn. But you don't remember falling asleep. The sheets are twisted around your legs like restraints. Your chest is damp, not sweat, rainwater. But the cabin is dry. You blink hard and smell the earth before you see it. Your hands, scrubbed raw last night, are dirty again. Soil under every nail. Thumb stained red-brown, like you dug a second grave in your sleep. Or maybe you never left the first one. The mirror above the sink is fogged, but you wipe it clean. You expect your reflection. Instead, you find her. Not clear, not defined. Just the outline of a woman's face, hovering just behind yours. One eye open, the other shadowed. You turn fast, but there's no one behind you. Just the key, sitting on the windowsill. You didn't put it there. You left it in your jeans, and your jeans are still on the bedroom floor. You pick up the key. It's cold, like it hasn't been touched in hours. But the symbol etched into it wasn't there yesterday. A spiral, same as the moss in the forest, same as the scar above your left knee, the one you don't remember getting. You sit at the kitchen table, pull the recorder from the drawer, voice low, measured. Either I'm sleepwalking or someone's staging me in my own house. The key moved. The dirt's back. I'm not being haunted. I'm being reenacted. You save the file as graveshift. You take the key and drive into town, past the gas station where the clerk always smiles too wide, past the bookstore you think she worked at. You don't stop. You don't look too long at anyone's face, because every stranger now holds the weight of recognition. Every eye feels familiar. Every voice almost says your name. At the sheriff's office, you park and watch the building from across the street. You imagine walking in, placing the key on the counter, saying nothing, letting it speak for itself. But you don't move, because you know how this plays out. The moment you step through that door, the story becomes theirs, and you need it to stay yours. For now, back at the cabin, the back door is ajar, just an inch, but you locked it. You always do. You step inside slowly. Everything looks untouched until you check the sink. There's a smear of mud along the faucet, the exact shape of a palm. Next to it, your other glove. You didn't bring it with you. You're sure of that, which means it's been returned. You pick it up. Inside, something small and hard presses against your fingers. You turn it out. A single button, deep red, fabric still clinging. The kind you'd find on a coat. Her coat. You dropped it with her, didn't you? You hit record again. Faster this time. The glove was moved. Something's been here. The key, the glove, the button, all artifacts. But someone's curating them, not haunting me, tracking me. It's like the evidence is being repurposed. You save it as returned items. You pace the floorboards and try not to think about the way her hand looked, curled around that key. You try not to remember the angle of her limbs in the shallow grave, but you do, vividly, more than vividly, like you're remembering something rehearsed, like you didn't just find her, like you were there before, long before. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control, and the dirt under your fingernails. It remembers where you've been. A glove that wasn't yours. You lay the gloves side by side on the table. Yours, the black pair you've had for years, faded at the knuckles, frayed at the wrist. And the other one almost identical. Almost, but not quite. It's slightly smaller, newer, not worn in the same way. And on the inner seam, stitched with thread so fine you almost miss it, are two initials, M.L. You stare at them until the letters blur. Then you dig through the drawer where you keep junk and half-truths and old receipts. You find the original gloves you wore yesterday, both accounted for, which means this glove, the one you found today, was never yours. You hit record. I have three gloves now, one pair, one intruder. It fits, but it doesn't belong. Initials Malkinch L, same as Miranda Lake. Or maybe a coincidence. But how many coincidences fit better than your own truth? You save the file as third glove. Later, you're driving again. Aimless, but not random. Your car moves like it knows something you don't. The forest is behind you, the town ahead, but you pull off halfway to neither. There's a diner, old neon flickering like a dying pulse. Inside, the waitress looks up too quickly when she sees you, like she knows something you're still hiding. She brings you black coffee without asking, and a napkin with a name already written on it. Lydia, underlined once. You don't know a Lydia. At least, not by name. You leave cash and the napkin, but pocket the glove. Outside, a man stands by your car. Early 50s. Windbreaker zipped to the chin, hat low. He's not looking at you. Exactly. More like past you. Like he's trying to remember something you haven't said yet. He nods once and walks away. But on your windshield, tucked under the wiper, is a photograph. Color, torn. A woman standing in the woods. Your woods, half smiling. Behind her, barely visible, is you, in profile, holding a shovel. You didn't take this photo. You never saw anyone else there. You never smiled like that. But it's you. It's real. And it's dated 2 days ago, the day before you found the body. You hit record with shaking fingers. Someone has a picture of me in the woods before the discovery, holding a shovel. The timeline's been tampered with, or I've lost more than I remember, or worse, someone's editing my reality like it's footage. You save it as out of frame. Back at the cabin, you lock every door, every window, even the attic hatch. You slide the gloves into a drawer with the key and the button. Artifacts, all of them, silent, waiting. And then the phone rings. A landline, no caller ID. You pick it up and hear only one thing. You left. One thing unburied. Click. You pace. You dig through memory like soil. Try to recall everything from that day. But the edges of your mind feel edited. Scenes fade too cleanly. Transitions too smooth. Like someone has clipped the narrative, polished it. You look at your own hands like they might give you away. And then you remember there was something else, a small silver charm from a bracelet. You left it behind. You meant to pick it up, but your hands were full of silence and a lie you hadn't named yet. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the glove on your table fits someone else's guilt, the photograph in her pocket. You return to the clearing, not to make peace, not to confess, but to confirm. You bring gloves, not yours, not hers, a third, sterile pair from a gas station aisle labeled mechanics. You dig slowly this time, methodically, like you're uncovering a crime museum, not a grave. And there she is, where you left her, unchanged, except for one thing. She's holding something. Her fingers are curled tighter now than before, like rigor mortis found purpose in the afterlife. You pry them open with trembling hands, and inside is a photograph, folded once, torn down the center. You flatten it on your knee. It's of a man and woman. The background is a street you recognize downtown, near the florist. But the woman is Miranda. You'd bet your name on it. And the man? At first glance, It looks like you. Same build, same coat, same tilt of the head, but there's something off. His posture is too loose, his eyes too alive. This isn't a mirror, it's a misprint. You stare until the image starts to blur, and then you realize you've seen this before. Not this exact photo, but the scene, the two of them together, in a dream, in a past life, or in the crowd at the courthouse that day, the one where no one testified. You don't remember when, but your memory is now in conflict with the evidence, and the evidence is winning. You take the photo home, place it on the table beside the gloves and the key. Artifacts, clues, warnings. You record again. There was a photo in her hand of Miranda and a man who might be me, but isn't, which means someone wants me to think it's me, or wants someone else to think that. This isn't just evidence, it's choreography. You save it as staged memory. Later that night, you hear movement in the attic. Not loud, just a shift, like boxes being nudged, or someone trying to breathe quietly. You don't go up. You just sit beneath the hatch and listen. You hold the photograph in your lap like a compass with no direction, and you ask yourself, what if she planted the photo for me? Not as a clue, but as a message. You search Miranda Lake on the internet. There are 5. One was a poet. One was arrested for fraud. 2 are dead. The 5th lives in your town, or used to. Worked at the bookstore. Went missing last week. No police report. No obituary. No news story. Just a silent shift in reality. One no one felt except you, and maybe the man in the photo. You go to the mirror. Hold up the photograph next to your face. You try to align them. Try to force yourself to believe they match, but they don't. Not quite. You close your eyes and whisper her name, Miranda, and then you hear it back whispered behind you. You turn. Nothing. But when you return to the table, the photograph is gone. In its place is the scarf, folded, clean, still damp. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the photograph, she made sure you'd find it, just not keep it. The wrong alibi feels too right. You rehearse the story again. The one you've told so many times, it feels like a script. Your alibi. The night she disappeared. Your excuse. Every detail memorized. Every question anticipated. You know the lines better than your own name. But tonight, the script feels brittle, like it's cracked and ready to shatter. You call an old friend, someone you trust, someone who always asks the questions you dodge. You tell them the alibi, and they listen, and then they say something you weren't ready for. That's not what I remember. You freeze. You think about the night, the bar, the empty booth, the glass you never finished, the taxi ride you said you took home. You thought you remembered it too, but their words make you doubt. You dig through your phone, messages, photos, calls, nothing, no evidence, only gaps, unanswered questions, and a creeping suspicion that maybe, just maybe, your alibi isn't a truth. It's a convenient lie. You meet the friend in person. They pull out a photo, a picture taken at the bar. You're there, but not the way you remember. You're standing near the exit, watching, not leaving. You ask why they didn't say anything. They shrug. Didn't want to get involved. But you know, they were protecting something or someone. You record the confession, your own voice. The alibi feels right, but it's wrong. Someone edited my memory, or maybe I edited it myself. The truth is a fracture, and the pieces don't always fit. You save it as fractured alibi. That night, you stare at the ceiling, wondering if the lie you told yourself is the one you're still living. And if the person who needs to believe it most is the person who buried the evidence in the first place, you knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. And tonight, control is slipping through your fingers. The mirror shows a different night. You glance in the mirror by the door, not because you want to check your reflection, but because something tells you to. It's late. The hallway light flickers. Your breath fogs the glass. You wipe a circle with your sleeve. And there, in the corner of the mirror's edge, you see something move. Not you, not your reflection. A shadow, a figure you don't recognize. It's wearing your coat, holding your keys, smiling just enough to be a threat. You step closer, reach out, but the figure fades. Like mist, the mirror returns to normal, but your pulse is not. It races, like it knows you're not alone. You try to recall the night again. Your alibi is crumbling. The memories are fragmented. The details are different. Like you saw two versions of the same scene. One you lived, and one the mirror remembers. You find a crack in the glass, not a physical one, a fracture in your perception. The mirror reflects a different timeline, one where you left her alive, one where you buried more than a body. You pick up a shard of glass from the floor, cold, sharp. You hold it to your eye and see not just yourself, but him, the man who found the body and buried the evidence. You record. The mirror doesn't lie. It shows what the mind can't face. Two nights, two versions, one truth hiding behind the other. Maybe the evidence isn't just buried in the dirt. Maybe it's buried inside me. You save it as fractured reflection. You look back at the mirror. Your reflection smiles, but you don't. You wonder if the man in the glass is still watching, waiting, judging, and maybe waiting to take your place. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the mirror, it's holding the pieces you refuse to put back together. Her voice still plays on loop. The recorder clicks on, static. Then a voice, not yours, not quite. A breathy whisper that feels like it's slipping through a crack in time. You didn't hear me, but I was screaming. Underneath the dirt, beneath the lies, you press pause. The room feels smaller, the silence louder. You hit play again. This time, clearer. He buried me and buried the truth with me. The voice is hers, but fragmented, like a broken record skipping over the worst parts. You rewind and listen. The message loops, unfolding in pieces, each phrase more desperate than the last. You realize it's a recording she made before she died, or maybe after. You search your memory. The night you found the body, did you pick up the recorder? Did you hit play? Did you listen? Or did you bury the evidence before hearing her last words? You place the recorder beside the key, the glove, the photograph, artifacts of a story still playing on loop. You hit record. Her voice is a ghost in my house, a reminder that silence isn't peace. It's the loudest scream. No one answers. The evidence isn't just physical, it's audible, persistent, and it won't stop until I listen. You save the file as looped voice. The tape clicks off. The silence returns. But you can still hear it, just beneath the quiet. The echo of a voice that never wanted to be buried. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And her voice. It's the evidence you can never bury. A stranger knows the woods too well. The night is thick with fog, crawling low over the forest floor as you make your way back to the clearing. You're not alone. A figure steps from the mist, tall, Still, watching, not threatening, but knowing, too knowing. You don't recognize the face, but the eyes. They hold your secrets, the ones you thought only you and the trees kept. They say nothing, just to nod toward the ground, where the disturbed earth is barely healed, where the body lies buried. You want to ask questions, but the silence presses you down, so you follow, through the underbrush, past the twisted roots, to a place where the soil is loose and the stranger digs carefully, methodically, until a small box surfaces, wrapped in duct tape. You take it, hands trembling. The stranger disappears back into the fog. No goodbye, no sign, just a weight in your palm. You open the box. Inside a locket, photos, letters, all addressed to you. And to her, you read the letters. They speak of regret, of a promise, of a secret kept in the shadows, one you bury deeper than the body. You record your voice. A stranger came from the fog, brought me pieces I didn't know I lost. A locket, letters, memories. The woods hold more than bodies. They keep the past alive. You save it as ghosts in the fog. You look back, but the stranger is gone. Only the fog remains, and the forest, waiting, remembering. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the forest, it shares its secrets with those who listen. The tape recorder in your closet. You never remember putting it there. A dusty tape recorder, nestled between forgotten coats and shoe boxes. Not yours, but familiar. You blow the dust off, press play. Static crackles. And then your voice, but not the voice you know. Hesitant, quivering, confessing. I found her. I buried her. And I buried the truth along with her. You freeze, the confession you never made. You listen to the whole tape, every whispered word, every breath caught in guilt. The voice sounds real, too real. But the question isn't who recorded it. It's who put it in your closet and why. You pull out the tape, see a date etched on the side, the night before the discovery. You remember that night? Or do you? You record. Found a recorder in my closet with a confession I don't remember making. Either I'm losing time or someone's rewriting it for me. I'm not sure which is worse. You save it as hidden confession. The closet door creaks. You step back. The room feels colder. You glance down. There, etched into the wooden floor, a symbol you recognize, a spiral. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the tape recorder. It's the voice you buried, but can't silence. The detective smiles too easily. You meet him at the precinct. Detective Marlowe. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. He greets you with a smile that doesn't reach his gaze, like he's already read the pages of your story and decided which parts to believe. He asks questions, simple ones, where you were, who you saw, what you touched. But every answer feels rehearsed, like you're playing a part in a play he's directing. You realize he's not here to find the truth. He's here to fill in blanks you didn't know existed. You notice his badge, not the usual, an emblem of something secret. You ask about it. He laughs. Just a formality, but you're not sure. You leave with the feeling of being observed, not by him, but by the story he's already written. Your steps echo too loud in the hallway, as if the walls want you to hear their verdict before the jury. Back in your car, you find a note tucked under the windshield wiper. It reads, "Not all smiles are innocent. You record Detective Marlowe smiles too easily, like he knows more than he says, like he's directing my confession. And maybe that's the point. Control is about who writes the last line. You save it as the smiling detective. You look in the rear view mirror. His smile haunts the glass. You wonder if he's the hunter or the hunted. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. And the detective, he's already holding the pen. The map she drew before dying. You find the notebook tucked under a loose floorboard, its cover cracked, edges worn. Inside, a map, hand drawn, crisscrossing trails through the woods, marked with dates, and a circle where you buried her. But that's not all. There's a second circle, farther in, unmarked. You trace the lines with a trembling finger, wonder what else was hidden in the shadows. You hear a faint sound, footsteps behind you. You turn, empty. The forest outside, whispering. You record she mapped the woods before she died, marked where she was buried and somewhere else, somewhere I haven't looked. You save it as the second circle. You drive toward the new location, heart pounding. The woods grow darker, the air thicker, and you know the story isn't finished. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. And the map is an invitation. Someone's been sleeping in your car. You find the glove box open, the glove missing, your back seat disturbed. Not ransacked, but rearranged, like someone was searching, looking, waiting. You check the passenger seat, a folded piece of paper, a note, in handwriting you don't recognize. Stop digging or we all drown. You lean back and think, someone's been inside your life, more than once, closer than you imagined. You pull out your phone, dial a number you haven't called in years. The line picks up, a voice you once trusted. They're watching, and they don't like you asking questions. You hang up, heart racing. You record someone's been in my car, rearranging my life like a puzzle, and leaving warnings where I can't ignore them. The deeper I dig, the darker the water. You save it as warning note. You look out the window, the road stretches ahead, empty, but you're not alone. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. And the silence in your car is the loudest threat yet. The scarf on your bedroom door. You wake to a chill, the kind that isn't weather. It's a weight on your chest. You sit up. The bedroom door is open, and hanging from the knob, a scarf, soft wool, familiar. You pull it closer. The scent hits you. Miranda. But you burned that scarf months ago. Swore you'd never see it again. You wrap it around your neck, and the room shifts. Memories flood back. The night you found her, the dirt, the silence, the lie you buried with her. You record. The scarf came back, like a ghost, or a reminder. Maybe some things can't be burned. You save it as returned scarf. You look in the mirror, the scarf still around your neck, and whisper, who's watching now? You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. And the scarf, it's a noose or a lifeline. You said her name in your sleep. A phone call in the middle of the night. Your friend's voice is shaky, urgent. You were talking, saying her name over and over. You don't remember. You don't want to. You replay the night in fragments, voices, whispers, a name slipping from your lips. Miranda. It sounds like a confession or a plea. You wonder what your subconscious is trying to tell you. What truth you're too afraid to face awake. You record. I said her name in my sleep. Maybe the only time I'm honest. Maybe the only time she's still here. You save it as sleeping confession. The clock ticks. The silence listens. And you wonder how long before your dreams become evidence. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And your sleep is the last place you can hide. The clock that won't stay stopped. The old grandfather clock in the hallway. You haven't wound it in months, but every night at 2:19 a.m., the time she died, it chimes 3 times. Once, then once more, and then again. A haunting rhythm, a call. You try to ignore it, pretend it's your imagination, but the clock's hands refuse to move, frozen at 2:19. A time suspended, a moment paused forever. You touch the clock face, cold, unyielding, like the moment you buried the body, like the moment your life stopped too. You record. The clock won't move, like time itself is holding its breath, waiting for the truth to catch up. You save it as frozen time. The clock chimes again, and you wonder if some moments are meant to be forgotten, or if they're just waiting for you to face them. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. And the clock, it won't let you forget. A memory. You didn't make you find the drawing in the attic, tucked inside a box of forgotten things, a crude sketch, childish lines, a burial site, dirt mounded, a figure lying beneath, and a man wearing your jacket. But you don't remember drawing it, or seeing it before, or knowing it existed. Yet the handwriting on the back is yours, scrawled hastily. Remember what you tried to forget. You stare at the lines, try to push the memory forward, but it's just out of reach, like a name on the tip of your tongue, or a face in the crowd you can't place. Intunko. You record. A drawing made by me of a secret buried too deep. If I don't remember making it, what else am I forgetting? You save it as unmade memory. Om that hamdamaite. You touch the attic ceiling. Whisper. What else have I lost? You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And some memories are better left buried. The lie you didn't mean to tell. See, at the wake, your voice cracks. You don't plan it. You don't script it. You say something you never intended to say. She was safe. I promised. The words hang heavy. More than a promise. More than a lie. Someone in the crowd shifts. A sharp intake of breath. You feel eyes on you, judging, waiting. Later, you replay your own voice on the recorder. The lie was not about what happened, but about what I told everyone happened. I buried her body, but I buried the truth deeper. You save it as unintended lie. You wonder if the truth can ever be spoken, if some lies become reality, or if you've crossed a line you can't return from. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. And sometimes the truth dies with the lie you tell first. She's been writing from the grave. You start receiving notes, small, handwritten, anonymous, each folded carefully, each signed with a nickname only she used for you. The notes say things you don't want to hear. The earth is restless. Truth lies beneath the lies. The one who buries must remember. You hold the last note. It reads, I'm still here, watching, waiting. You record. She's been writing from beyond, or someone's channeling her voice. The past isn't silent, it's screaming. You save it as ghostwriter. You look at the grave, wonder if it's really hers, or a place where the truth is still alive. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And her words, they refuse to be buried. The box in the attic. You forgot. The attic smells like dust and secrets. You climb the creaky stairs, flashlight cutting through the gloom. Behind old furniture, you find a box, heavy, unmarked. You open it. Inside a shovel, dirt stained, and a bundle of clothes. Familiar. Your clothes. You remember the night, or pieces of it. You buried more than her. You buried parts of yourself. You record. The box was forgotten, like the parts of me I wanted gone. The shovel still carries the weight. And the clothes, my second skin. You save it as buried self. You lock the attic door, but the echo of your steps lingers. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the box contains the evidence you hid from yourself. The silence that finally speaks. You return to the forest, the place where the story began. The air is still, the earth undisturbed, but you feel the weight of everything you buried. You stand above the grave. The silence is louder than any confession. You realize the truth wasn't in the ground, it was in the quiet, in the space between breath and heartbeat. You record. The silence finally speaks, not with words, but with the absence of them. The story ends, not with noise, but with a pause. You save it as final silence. You walk away, knowing the forest never forgets, knowing the evidence isn't just what you buried, but what you left unsaid. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. And in the end, the silence reveals everything. Word kushundu waiti. Psychological wind down. The night's chill settles in. Your breath fogs the window pane. Outside, the rain softens the edges of the world. Inside, the story lingers, unresolved, like a shadow that won't fade. You're safe, for now, but the truth, it's not finished, and neither is the waiting. Sleep lightly, watch your back. End of script. Sleep well, and watch your back.